and we're back. This is Jenny Bair of Living Well Dallas and Sarah Ferguson, mom, counselor, creative type, best friend, comedian. We are here today, and we are going to change gears from some of our previous videos. Today we're going to talk about moms and alcohol. And we are not by any means pointing fingers and saying, hey, don't do this. We're just saying, hey, it's kind of come to our attention. You know, me working with moms, and Sarah is a mom and hangs out with other moms. I also hang out with moms. But, you know, that alcohol seems to be sort of re-entering into Playdates, or entering into Playdates in those types of situations. And a lot of moms are drinking to cope, because parenting is no small feat, nor is marriage, nor is really the busy kind of life that we live in nowadays, you know, bombarded with all kinds of information and 50,000 things to get done. And, you know, women tend to want to do things well. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So it's just an interesting topic of women and alcohol. So why don't you read some of the stats and then I'll...
Sure. This is from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And they point out that 2/3 of a child passengers who die in car crashes involving alcohol are in the car with the drunk driver. So that means they're not being hit by a drunk driver. The person driving their car that they're in is drunk. Mm-hmm. It also says that, but of the 1,985 children passengers under 14 killed by drunk drivers, 1,349 were in the vehicle with drunk driver, according to the MAD report. And they have a slogan that says, "Every child deserves a designated driver."
I think that's a great slogan.
Yeah,
I mean, when you stop and
think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The drunk driver is often the child's parent, and MAD argues that driving under the influence of alcohol when a child is in the car is an egregious form of child abuse.
So one of the stats that I have here, and this is an article taken from Working Mother, it says an estimated 1 in 4 kids live with an alcohol abuser. And let's see, which I thought was an important fact there. But then the next sentence says, among women, both alcohol and drug abuse are on the rise. The number of women ages 30 to 44 who report abusing alcohol has doubled over the past decade, while prescription drug abuse has skyrocketed 400%, according to the federal study. So not only do we possibly have, you know, a situation where alcohol by itself could be imbibed in a little too much and cause problems if we are driving or behind the wheel, or supervision problems, but then if you have the combo package of alcohol and prescription drugs, then you just have that intensifying the effects of both the alcohol and whatever type of drug that they're taking. Because the prescription drug could, you know, it could be a downer, it could be an upper, it could be a lot of different things. You know, ADD, sometimes medicine is an upper for some people, stabilizer for some, if you actually have ADD, which tends to be a common abuse. And then, of course, you have, you know, downers that are more like painkillers. Mm-hmm. So when you are putting those two things together, you have got a cocktail for possible disaster or risky situations for yourself as the parent, as the spouse, and the kiddos. Mm-hmm. So, well, I did want to bring this up. Tara Boring, one of our nutritionists here at Living Well, did all of our awesome research, and she's our film crew today. She found this, and she found this article about, can motherhood and alcohol mix? You know, moms enjoy cocktail parties on kids' play dates. And they interviewed a group in Florida, and then they start looking at some of the mom bloggers online talking about, you know, they basically sort of have like online happy hours, and they try different types of wine, and then they talk about it while their kids, you know, are playing in the background. And one of the moms, I thought this was really interesting, her quote was, you're all so exhausted, you're so nervous, you're so scared you're messing up, and you have a little sense of ourselves. That glass of wine does it. It sort of makes you feel like an adult because you're completely surrounded by nothing that is adult, right? And they were asked, this group of gals in Florida, group of moms, was asked, what were they, if they were deprived of playtime with their glasses of wine with the other mothers, what did the panelists say, and how did they feel about that? And they put crabby, miserable, nuts, bummed out. And, an interesting stat that's in here, Mother Magazine reported from one of their studies that 40% of mothers say that they drink to cope with stress. And so Sarah and I really bring this issue to the table, I think more in not pointing fingers of guilt and shame or that type of thing, but just looking at, oh wow, your behavior can really be more impactful than you think it can on yourself, your spouse, and your kids. But at the core of that is, how are you really taking care of yourself and dealing with your stress level? Where is the mama self-care? So I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because this phenomenon of girls' night out became really big amongst my group of friends, and we were all sort of the same mind that we needed something to do that was relaxing, something to do that was fun. Something that we could kind of distress and just kind of shake off, the pacifiers and the diapers and the whatever we were sort of living in. And so a lot of it became, going to wine bars or going and doing that kind of thing. And I'm not against a girls' night out. I'm not against an occasional, glass of wine even with a group of girlfriends. But when I stopped and I thought about it, it just became more and more prevalent and became more and more of a focus of, in order to relax, we need to drink. And that started getting me worried about, just even my own limits and what was I really getting out of this, but also just, what was I teaching my kids and how was I teaching my girls to react and interact with stress, and just sort of why is this right now such a big deal? Like, why are women turning to alcohol in order to deal with the stress of being a mom?
Right. In life and their marriage or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. So, how can we encourage moms to make safer play dates? Mm-hmm. If there is to be alcohol involved, how do you make a safer play date?
Well, I think there's play dates and I think there's girls' night outs.
Okay.
And I would separate the two.
Right.
I would say that, if your goal for the play date is really for your kids to get together and to play together, then that should be the focus.
Right.
And in that case, I don't think there should be alcohol. You can shoot me, whatever. I mean, I just don't think there should be. If it's kid-based, it's kid-focused, I don't believe there should be alcohol. Mm-hmm. If you're going to blow off some steam and you truly want that time away with your girlfriends, I think that's okay. But again, trying to combine the two or make the two one is going to be frustrating. I don't, because if you've ever been, trying to do one thing and a kid is in the other room, like, it just doesn't work. So you're not going to get the conversations you want with your girlfriends. That's just not going to happen. So I think separating the two and having the mindset of, this is about the kids, and yes, I'll get to catch up with Betty and Susie and whoever. It's going to be interrupted, and it's not going to be, or hire a babysitter and go out with your girlfriend, but just keep those two things separate is what I think. And then I think too is know your driving force. Know we are very stressed. There is, the well is dry, but we need to figure out what is a sustainable and a more permanent solution to the problem. An occasional girls' night out is good, but I think if we stop and we think about what am I trying to get out of that girls' night, is it just the glass of wine? Is it, I need to talk about a frustration in my marriage or in my life or just being a parent? Do I need comedy relief? Am I really searching for someone to know me and love me? And am I really searching for someone to love and know?
Or somebody to fix?
Right.
Like,
I think you've got to know what you're looking for, and if that is really meeting it. And then I think, if you go on the girls' night out or whatever, I think you need to know your limit. You need to know that, I can or cannot say no after one glass, or, it needs to be, you need to know legally, what you can do, because I can't imagine being pulled over and having a DUI as a mom and going home and trying to explain that to my kid, you know? And so I think you need to know legally what your limits are. I think you need to personally know what your limits are as well.
And there are charts, just, you know, if we're talking about, you know, drinking in moderation and sort of safer drinking, there are charts online that you can look at and look at your body weight and look at, you know, look at your body weight, look at your age, your height, your weight, all of that to figure out, you know, how fast does, you know, a typical 6-ounce drink or, you know, 2-ounce shot process through your body. You know, you can look at that to really, to have an idea of that. You can also, there's nothing wrong with having it, you know, if you know that, okay, I can handle two glasses of wine, but only if I've eaten a full meal, and in between those 2 glasses of wine, there's time elapsed, and maybe I've had a non-alcoholic drink, like I've alternated with water or, you know, something else. So, I mean, just basic, safer, moderate drinking type skills. And then, you know, then the other thing is, how do you know when, you know, your drinking has kind of gotten out of control and you really need to go get help? What are some of the things that come to mind for you?
I think that for me, some things that come to mind are just, you know, if you have any sort of shame or guilt or regret after, you know, an event, I think that's a good indication. I think being aware of how you know, or if you've hurt somebody while you've been drinking, like if you say something or do something, if that becomes the only binding force between you and your friends, then are they, you know, is that really something that, you know, are you really friends then?
There actually was a list on here, and I can't think of, I don't have it, but it had a list of all of the things. So if you happen to have blackouts, if you can't remember what happened, if you can't remember the conversations that happened, blackouts would be a sign of binge drinking or trouble drinking. You know, thinking about your next drink as a main focus. We got to get there. Okay. So, signs and symptoms of binge drinking. I think these are really important. Feeling guilty or shamed about your drinking. Sarah brought that up. Lying to others or hiding your drinking habits. Friends and family members have expressed their concern about your drinking. The need to drink in order to relax or feel better. Having blackouts. And I think there's another one. Drinking more than you intended to. And experiencing withdrawal symptoms after a binge drinking episode, such as shaking or body tremors, restlessness, poor concentration, mood swings, depression, anxiety, and changes in heart rate, blood pressure, sleep, and appetite. So, you know, if any of these things are happening, we want to encourage you to, you know, seek help, seek counseling, you know, to help you find ways to cope with the stress in your world. I think Sarah, being the busy mom, her phone
is going off.
I'm so sorry. So I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up on that note. We'll get back with you about some more about women and moms and drinking. Thank you so much.